Welcome back to the Robin King Lifestyle Challenge. We are back at it with our season of singleness, our Christian devotional. This is part 2. You will have heard part 1, which was the introduction where we kicked off living with longing. I hope that you did take some time to listen to the teaching and watch the teaching where I spoke about how you could feel that the Lord is napping, sleeping in your season where you feel like you need Him the most. And really that was heavily focused on faith. And remember, this whole channel, in case you didn't know, is about thriving in your season of singleness. So we are going to kick it off. If you haven't been here before, this is the part where we do a little devotional where I share some reflections from my journals from years back. Or perhaps even recently, and we go into the weeds a little bit and just start picking at some of these things that I don't know that we talk about a lot. I think we do talk about how do we prepare for marriage. We talk about just being satisfied with being single. But how do we navigate this season if you're living with longing, and really if you have a desire to thrive in your season of singleness? And then off the back of the devotional that I'll be sharing right now, there will also be a teaching time which you can come back for, which will be linked to this devotional. So I want to talk about adoration. Strange. But I really found in my journey of singleness that there was something that came up in me. There's something in me that would love to be adored. Looking at couples, looking at people in marriages, in healthy marriages, looking at couples who are courting, who are dating, who are engaged. There just seems to be this sense of adoration that is coming from the man to the woman and from the woman to the man. And there was a particular incident where I was exploring this in my own heart. So I want to read you a little bit of that from my journal. I'm just going to grab this here. Sorry about that noise. That's crazy. I'm just going to grab this here and we can read a little bit of this. Adoration. This is the thing I have most desired and most feared all at the same time. I'm not talking about being adored as a deity and being put on a pedestal that is way too high for its own good. Instead, I'm alluding to the kind of adoration in which the lover has a deep desire to be with his beloved, and not even his own needs trump that. It's the kind of adoration that seeks to elevate the beloved above himself, a kind of selfless love that brings the lover immense joy. I have not felt this kind of affection. It is genuine. I imagine that at some point there would be a need to a recompense for the outpouring of love. However, I'm starting to believe that I was wrong in my previous assessments. I've come to realize that what was perhaps once incomprehensible may in fact be in reach. He has known me for many years. Truth be told, he has only seen glimpses and shadows of me, but that seems to have been sufficient. This limited revelation of who I am seems to be enough to keep him longing for some kind of fellowship with me, no matter how limited it remains over time. I think the Bible calls it long-suffering. I am, however, of a different persuasion. I like to have every morsel of the person I love. I like to dive at my beloved like a hawk dives towards its prey and then proceeds to devour every part of it. This makes me think of the difference between bird watchers and falconers. The bird watcher is content to wait patiently for brief sightings of the bird, reveling in its beauty from afar, never imagining that the bird will ever be in their grasp. The falconer, on the other hand, carries the bird on her fist, trains it to come to her on instruction, dives into the bushes and brambles with the bird as it hunts its prey, and even conducts mercy killings so the prey won't suffer too long. The bird watcher may come away with muddy boots, but the falconer has blood on her hands. In this lover's tale, I am the falconer, and the bird watching seems absurd and cowardly to me, but I know that it has a beauty that I've yet to comprehend. Perhaps what makes me most uncomfortable is the feeling of being watched and admired for simply being, My mere existence is what brings him delight. I suppose I must concede that a thing of beauty can bring joy simply because it exists. But something about this is foreign to me. Something about this invites me to once again step into the beauty of vulnerability. But I'm not ready yet. So I wrote that a couple of years ago. I had been busy reading a book on a falconer, actually. It was a female falconer, and she was just training and taming this bird, this hawk, this falcon. And it really captivated my attention. And at the same time, in what I was experiencing with my interaction with a particular man at that stage, I felt that my attention was drawn to the fact that even as I discussed with my guy friends, there was this ability in men and women, I think, to simply watch someone from afar, to watch their lives, and to wait for those rare sightings, to wait for that moment where you see them in church, or you bump into them in the shopping mall, or or you have a quick text conversation with them, and it seemed like that was satisfying. And there was something in me that just genuinely felt like that was enough. That was not enough. And I was really trying to grapple with that. Could I make peace with having that in my home as I join myself to someone, that they would be content to be far off, that they would be content to kind of know me? It just didn't feel right. And as you'll see as we go along, we're going to hit the scriptures. One of the things that I'd love for us to do is always land on the word. And what desire came up in me as I had this reflection was, is the Lord like that? Is God like that? Is he happy to watch me from afar? Is he happy to wait until Sunday, until he gets to see my face for a moment and maybe say an awkward hello? Is he happy to analyze my ways and make deductions and assumptions about who I am without coming close? It didn't feel right. And I hope it doesn't feel right to you. We're going to go into the word. We're going to hit Ezekiel. So please join me for the next video on adoration, where we're going to go into the word and have a teaching time and see what does the Lord's adoration look like? What does adoration look like in your relationship as a person, as a single person with the Godhead? Because in this season, you're not bouncing off someone else. And truthfully, the ultimate bouncing off you want to do is with the Lord. And so I hope you'll join me.